Recap in minutes. In today's video, we will be going through a war action film entitled Wind Talker. There will be spoilers ahead, chill out and enjoy. The movie starts in a scenery of canyons in Arizona and a young man with his family. They are living their best life as part of Navajo Indians. It's Ben Yazzie with his family. A bus loading people who are going away from their town is approaching, and Ben has to leave his family alongside his best friend, Charlie Whitehorse. On the other side, in the Solomon Islands of 1943, Joseph Joe Enders fought against the Japanese soldiers. Men are dying because they are outnumbered. The other soldiers ask Joe to back out, but he refuses since he says he needs to follow the orders. They continue to fight the Japanese with all the rage in their hearts. Joe grabs one of his colleagues to save him. But a Japanese soldier comes and shoots the soldier. Before he dies, he curses Joe and blames him for his death. He sees his friend Tommy sacrificing himself as he wants revenge for his friends. In the end, Joe survives, and 15 of his colleagues die on the battlefield. However, in Camp Pendleton, California, Ben and Charlie are still studying in a class as they are new to the Marines. Most of the time, people belittle them because of their ethnicity, but when a teacher asks the class what the tank he is showing is, only Ben answers, which is also correct. Charlie also answers as he follows Ben. In 1943 at Kaneohe Bay U.S. Naval Hospital, Joe is sitting in his wheelchair and looking away from reality. He can still hear the voices of his colleagues and thinks about their dying faces. There's a guilt in him. A nurse named Rita approaches him to give him medicines. She gives them to Joe. He tries to stand up and show Rita that he is fine and can do it on his own already, but as he tries to stand up and stride, he stumbles, and Rita helps him. She says that he doesn't need to force himself if he can't do it. Rita brings him to a clinic in the camp and tests his eardrums to see if it's still deteriorating. The doctor tries him at a different level, and he passes all of them. It amazes Rita because of the big improvement that Joe has shown in the past few weeks he's been there. Back in a classroom for new soldiers, there was a test of decoding the message. Ben got it correctly for a minute and a half, and his teacher praised him. Major Militz calls Joe into his office. They talk about his achievements as Joe, and the major promotes him to be a sergeant. After that, Joe still can't believe it, and he looks emotionless. He runs to the beach side where the new soldiers are taking their training. After he runs, Pete Henderson runs to him and asks what happened inside Major's office, but he refuses to answer. They look at Ben and Charlie, preparing their stuff and looking for their camp. As they eat their lunch, Joe sits down in a corner alone, looking at the scenery again. Ben walks near him and introduces himself, and he says that they are being paired up. Joe gets annoyed because he blocks his view, so he moves and sits down beside him. When Ben sits down, he accidentally drops Joe's drink, and he panics, so he gives his drink, but he also accidentally pours it out to Joe's food. Ben looks with shame and apology. He offers his food, and Joe takes it and gives him what he is instead. Joe walks out. All the soldiers gather around in a tent where they gamble at night. Joe wins the last game, so he asks Ben and Charlie if they want to join. Only Ben joins, but Charlie decides to take out his flute and play. While they are gambling, they also enjoy the beautiful sound Charlie produces. After that, they gather again, and their major gives them the news that they will ship out to Saipan tomorrow. Lots of men cheer excitedly because that's what they've been training for the last 4 months, but Joe is emotionless again because of his memories. Joe stands up and walks out, stumbling. Ben follows him and finds him throwing up. Ben asks if he is fine, but he refuses the help offered. They argue a little, and because of that, Ben walks out and leaves Joe behind. Since it's their last night, there's a farewell party, and they all drink. Joe sits alone when Rita goes to him, and they talk. On June 16, 1944, on the Japanese island of Saipan, when they got out of the ship, the war began. Bombs are everywhere and shooting at each other. Americans and Japanese are killing each other as if there is no tomorrow. They brutally shoot, slice, and kill people. As other American soldiers are hiding in a pit, Joe is in the middle of it, standing and killing everywhere. He is full of rage and wants revenge for his colleagues. A soldier is a trap in a wire, and Joe commands his men to help him, but they get the kill because the Japanese bomb them. Ben looks at the family picture in his head. The Japanese tank arrives, they attack it too, and Ben can't fathom how many people are dying easily. As part of Ben's job, he radios Charlie using their Navajo code. Surprisingly, the Japanese can't understand what they're saying since they are listening too. Only Charlie and Ben understand each other. Charlie gives the coordinates to the US Navy ship waiting on a far ocean, and when he gives the location where the Japanese are, the ship points it out and bombs it. As it continues, Joe kills another Japanese soldier for Ben again because he's afraid to kill him. Joe tries to throw the bag with a bomb at the two Japanese who are hiding under the mud and kill them. Joe throws it for the second time, and it is a success. The night after that day, all the soldiers gather around, talking about their lives. They are resting, and they smoke. Nell takes off the ring on his finger and gives it to Papas. He tells Papas to give it to his wife if anything happens to him. But Papas gives it back to him and comforts Nell, saying that he should be the one giving it to his wife. Not so far from the resting soldiers, Ben and Charlie are doing a Chindies ritual under a big tree dedicated to the dead soldiers and their protection in the coming days. The other morning, Ben takes a bath in the nearby pond when Chick walks toward him. Ben is about to get dressed when Chick puts his foot on Ben's bag and interrupts him. Chick insults Ben and punches Ben twice. Ben takes revenge, and they fight each other. When Joe arrives, and Papas is looking on the other side, Papas tries to stop Chick, but he refuses, so he stops Ben instead, while Joe stops Chick. The other soldiers are now with them. When they all calm down, Chick has an excuse for himself, that he thought Ben is a Japanese soldier, that's why he attacks him. But no one believes him, and Joe advises Ben not to wander around alone again. They are riding in the truck, Charlie flutes again, and Ben writes a letter to his son. Joe gets mad at first because he advises him that letters are not allowed, it's an order. But Ben continues to write until Joe yells at him. He stops and says that he will not send it, he will give it back when he gets home. When they calm down, Ben asks Joe for a cigarette, and they smoke. Their truck is being bombed, and they immediately get off the truck. There are shots everywhere again, minutes after they realize that their fellow Americans are the ones who are attacking them. Soon after, the Japanese soldiers join them. However, Ben sees a dead Japanese soldier beside him, and he thinks of an idea. He tells Joe that he looks like a Japanese, he will take the soldier's clothes and put them in himself. Joe disagrees at first, but the others are. Ben is now doing his idea, they plan how the attack will go, and as they walk towards the Japanese headquarters, Joe pretends like he's a prisoner of Ben, and Ben is pointing his shotgun at Joe until the other Japanese notices them and begin to beat up Joe. When other Americans slowly attack, Joe is on his knees, he grabs the spare gun at Ben's back and starts shooting them. They get into the main headquarters of the Japanese and kill everyone. That's when Ben radios his fellow Americans to the ceasefire. After that, Ben tore up the radio itself. They bombed the Japanese when they left. They bury their fellow soldiers, and then a high-ranking official asks where Joe is. They talk to each other, and the official gives Joe a Silver Star medal, but Joe credits him a lot to Ben, so the official agrees. After he leaves, Joe goes to the resting place of Nell, where Papas is on his knees. Joe gives Nell his medal and asks him to give it to Nell's wife. Later that day, Joe drinks alone when Ben approaches him, handing him a letter from Rita. They talk about their lives. When Joe stands up, he walks to the resting place of all the soldiers. He hears their shouts and screams, then, he passes out. Ben takes him and starts a ritual on him when he suddenly wakes up. Another morning and they are all talking about what they will do after the war. They approach a village and the locals start to hide inside. They secure the area first. Joe goes inside a house where a mother is carrying his son, he gives him medicine. After that, Joe starts to draw a church out of the dust in the other room, Ben sees it. They talk about religion, they are both raised as Catholics, but now, they don't believe it anymore. As their conversation keeps going, a soldier asks Ben to come with him to decode a message, so he leaves. Joe goes to a tent where Gunny is eating, and he advises Gunny that he wants to get out of that mess. They argue so badly until everyone is looking at them. Outside, Harrigan sees a young girl crying, so he comforts him by giving her chocolates. Minutes later, the Japanese soldiers attack them. Harrigan's backpack blows up with fire, so Joe shoots him instead. On the other side, Charlie saves Chick from getting killed by a Japanese. Chick can't believe it since he has hated them since, and Charlie looks at him. A lot of violence again, the Japanese capture Charlie and interrogate him. When Charlie is being interrogated, Joe looks at him, and he prepares the grenade. Charlie signals yes to Joe to throw the grenade at them. Joe throws it, and they all blow up, including Charlie. Ben looks for Ox or Charlie, and he asks Joe, but Joe points out where lies. Joe admits that he killed Charlie. So Ben is furious with Joe, and he almost kills him. He beats him up and wants to shoot him. As they continue their journey, they honor their fellow men who died. This time, Ben does the ritual alone, and Joe sees him and advises him again not to wander around alone. But Ben is too mad to listen to Joe, and he sarcastically insults him by saying he's a good Marine. Joe is full of guilt, and he can't blame Ben. The captain asks for Joe's presence, and he says that he needs to fix the tension between him and Ben. He tries to, but it seems hard for the both of them. When they continuously walk, they realize that they are walking above the minefield. They stop and try to calm down each other. With Ben's anger, he indecisively continues to walk and take over the lead. When one of them falls off and hits the pin of the mine, and it blows, the Japanese who are hiding behind them start shooting at them again. They fight even if they are outnumbered, and they are hopeless. Ben and Joe help each other to kill other Japanese soldiers. When Ben gets injured, he wants to kill himself, but Joe doesn't let him do it. Instead, he saves him and puts him in a safer place. Many American soldiers cover up for them, and the Air Force comes, making the Japanese give up since the Air Force is attacking them now. But still, the shooting goes on, and Joe gets shot. He dies in Ben's arms. When he's running out of breath, Joe is praying Hail Mary, and soon after, he passes. Ben cries out loud, and he takes Joe's dog tag. Their fellow soldiers cry as they look at Joe's death as well. After that, the movie ends with Ben, who was able to go back to his hometown and family. He honors Joe at the top of the mountain, and he gives the dog tag to his son, George Washington. After the ritual, they go home with the tears in Ben's eyes. The last scene says that the Navajo code is still used by the Americans nowadays, and it's the key to their victory many times. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this and to help the channel grow.